Please, take your seats. Our program will begin shortly. Please take your seats. Our program will begin shortly. Please take your seats. Our program is about to begin. Good evening, and welcome to the 2024 Vital Voices Global Leadership Awards. Please set your personal electronics to silent operation. We remind you that the taking of pictures and the use of recording devices is strictly prohibited. Now, please direct your attention to the screen.
Today, everyone's eyes are on us as we rise. In this hour, it is our fine duty to find the beauty in rooting for other women so they too know we are not victims. We are victors, the greatest predictors of progress. We press for change, a new dawn drawn into the open by women whose silence is broken. We push on and act on our responsibility to bring visibility to the most vulnerable, to bring freedom to those who didn't have a choice, to bring volume to those who dare to use their voice. We don't fear the day she steps into the light because we're with women every step of the fight. We clear her way. We don't fear this day because it is her strength, her story, and her spirit which inspires other vital voices to speak up when they hear it. So let it be said that light will be shed when our world is led by leaders ahead of the headlines, the voices on the front line, these first women who stand up, knowing the wind not by where it is, but by where it is blowing, leading the world not by where it is, but where change is going. We all leap forward when one woman tries and she defies with her rallying cries. Here lies but does not rest, the best of tested women who call us all to rise, speaking our truth in this finest hour, that to their own power, every single woman is entitled. But it's how our power empowers others that makes women's voices so vital.
Please welcome Vital Voices President and CEO, Elise Nelson.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our 23rd Annual Vital Voices Global Leadership Awards. Yeah. Tonight, I want to invite you to see the world in a different light. I want to show you what we see, what the women leaders across the Vital Voices Network show us every day. Because the thing is, when we look in the news or we listen to the loudest voices, it seems like the future is a foregone conclusion. It feels like we're on a runaway train speeding for disaster. Wherever we look, threat looms over us. Growing authoritarianism, conflict, climate, disinformation, division. Don't get me wrong. These things are important, they're real challenges, and they need our attention. But what they don't need is our fear. Fear makes us lose hope and lose trust. It easily turns to prejudice, hatred, and violence. Fear makes us block out the world and each other. And in a world that's constantly being tested by unprecedented and interconnected challenges, we need each other now more than ever. We need connection, and we need leaders who refuse to spread fear. Every day at Vital Voices, I see the kind of possibility that we rarely hear about. I see a possible future shaped by a new era of leadership. I see women leaders who are rooted in shared humanity. Leaders who choose empathy and inspire hope. Leaders who build bridges, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Every single day, I see women leaders taking collective action for collective progress because they know that we are always going to go further together. They know that power with is far stronger, far greater than power over. Yes, there are those who want to divide and distract us. They are those who want us to give up and believe that there isn't enough time, there aren't enough resources or opportunities to turn things around. But there have always been those voices. And in the darkest moments, they get louder. But the truth is, every day, we can choose to seek out those voices of solution and solidarity. We can choose to see possibility, and together, we can shift the balance. From where I stand and what you will see tonight is that this shift is already happening. Women are leading the rise of a stronger, safer, and more resilient world. In the midst of so much struggle and suffering, from Gaza to Sudan, Congo to Ukraine, make no mistake, in every community there are women leaders who are paving a new way forward, showing us that things can be different, better, for everyone. To everyone who's here tonight, and the many who are watching live from our live stream, thank you so much for supporting us and for supporting our network of women leaders that we've built to 20,000 strong over the last 27 years. Thank you. And to the young people who are here tonight, are you all out there? Listen, I hope that you take what you learned tonight and you spread it out into the world. I can promise you that you are in for a masterclass in how to lead through difficult moments. Always remember that it is never too early or too late to change the world around you. Thank you all for being here. Enjoy this incredible evening.
Vital Voices would like to thank all of those who made tonight possible and who support our work throughout the year. To our global champion, the Diane von Furstenberg Family Foundation. Our benefactors, Kate James and Hans Bishop, Procter & Gamble. Our patrons, the Deborah Rose Foundation, Deloitte, True Search. Our visionaries, Bank of America, Elizabeth and Bruce Buchanan, the Enmont Foundation, Donna and Mac McClarty, Vital Voices Europe. Our co-chairs, Michelle Alberta, Jean Batterschneider, Kate Boyce Reeder, the Carol and Jean Ludwig Family Foundation, Comcast, NBC Universal, Anne Friedman, Marlene Malik, Representative Doris Matsui and Roger Sant, Megan Smith, Rajendra Foundation. Thank you to all of our sponsors for supporting women leaders taking on the world's greatest challenges. Invest in women, improve the world.
Please welcome CNN international correspondent, Jumana Karadshe.
Good evening, everyone. It is an honor to be with you here tonight. Wherever I've been in the world, I've seen women leaders on the front lines, in the aftermath of disaster, or the outbreak of war, or in those daily daring moments of speaking truth to power. It is women leaders who often take the biggest risks, who know best what their community needs most. But today, these leaders are under threat. Around the world, we are seeing that women are increasingly targeted for their leadership. So building on 10 years of the Voices Against Violence initiative in partnership with the Department of State, Vital Voices has scaled up their efforts and created a dedicated crisis response team. They provide both emergency assistance to leaders who are actively responding to crisis and ongoing support to women whose courageous work puts them at risk. So far, their efforts have assisted more than 5,000 women and girls across 36 countries. This work includes supporting indigenous leaders who are defending democracy in Guatemala, funding women-led efforts to rebuild after Morocco's devastating earthquake, and evacuating and resettling at-risk Afghan leaders after the Taliban takeover. And in recent months, the team has been responding to the critical needs in Gaza, providing urgent assistance to medical staff and displaced women journalists, many of whom are mothers and breadwinners for their families. In this war especially, the role of local journalists cannot be overstated. Israel has prevented us, the international media, from freely accessing Gaza. We have relied on the brave Palestinian journalists who are risking everything. We have relied on these brave Palestinian journalists who are risking everything to document the horrors of this war. And not even when confronted with the lifeless bodies of friends, family, and children have they stopped. They provide us and the world with a critical window into the devastating reality on the ground. An ongoing effort has provided tents, food, basic necessities to these leaders so they can focus on their critical work. And it is, we have to mention here that it is in coordination with Vital Voices' partner on the ground that they have been getting this support, and this ongoing effort has been trying to provide them with the support they need so they can try and continue to do the critical work that they are doing. And it is in moments of crisis that we need leaders most. We can't afford for women's voices, now more than ever, to be diminished or silenced. Ultimately, this is the purpose behind the crisis response program at Vital Voices. Because when women leaders do what they do best, they improve the world for all of us. Thank you.
Please welcome co-founder of Daughters of the Earth and Vital Voices board member, Zainab Salbi.
Last year, on this stage, Vital Voices honored an exceptional woman, Inaz Muzamal, a peace activist and pro-democracy advocate from Sudan. Anyone who met Inaz was struck by her warm smile, her gentle nature and quiet strength. Here was a woman who had fought so fiercely for women's rights in Sudan, who together with other Sudanese women had led a revolution and ousted a dictator who was now sounding the alarm about an unfolding crisis. Tragically, we lost Inaz earlier this year after she passed away from a sudden illness. Allah yarhamha, as we say in Arabic. She was a dear friend and a beloved colleague in the Vital Voices family. Her passing is a tremendous loss, not only for those who knew her, but for the country she loved so deeply, the nation she fought for so devotedly. Inas had been coordinating evacuation efforts and supporting women activists who had been targeted in Sudan's ongoing conflict. Tirelessly, she raised her voice for peace, calling attention to one of the world's most extreme, underreported humanitarian disasters that keeps on ongoing as we speak here today. In Inas, the world lost a leader, but she left us with a clear message and a clear mission delivered right here from this very stage. These are her words. Please use your voice to draw attention to Sudan. Please support Sudanese women and all women in war zones who are working for peace. My sisters, let us remember her words, remember her life's work, and ensure her legacy lives through each and every one of us. Today, more than ever, she needs our voices, she needs our courage, and she needs our love.
Please welcome the chair of the board of Vital Voices, Kate James.
Nature is speaking to us, and we can no longer ignore what it says. These are the words of our next honoree, Colombia's Minister of Environment and Sustainable Development, Susana Mohammed, an environmentalist who's become known as a firebrand. Susana is leading the push for climate action within government. In a range of positions, starting at the city level in Bogotá, she's advanced protections for environmental defenders, introduced cutting-edge clean energy solutions, and partnered with local governments across Latin America to develop ambitious climate plans that are setting the region apart as a leading voice on this, the most fundamental issue of our time. 2 years ago, Susana joined President Gustavo Petro's cabinet, and under her leadership, Colombia became the world's first major economy, and an oil-producing one at that, to call for a fossil fuel non-proliferation treaty. Recently, she led her country's successful bid to host COP16, the United Nations' pivotal next round of negotiations on climate and biodiversity. Susana is calling the upcoming conference the People's COP. She's putting affected communities at the center of the talks that have a habit of shutting them out. She says, it's time for us, finally, to make peace amongst ourselves and make peace with nature. Let's learn a bit more about Susana.
I have this feeling of service since I was very young, and that has guided my life. I got involved in politics because after doing a lot of research, like 8 years of searching how I could affect sustainability, my realization was that this was a power struggle, and power struggle meant getting politically involved. I am Susana Mohammed. I am Minister of Environment and Sustainable Development of Colombia. We are in a process of very strong deforestation in the Amazon. So now as Minister of Environment, that's my main priority, because actually the water cycle in Colombia is very much attached to the Amazon basin. There is this amazing phenomenon where the Amazon produces this humidity that flows through the air, pushed by the winds, and gets into the Andes mountains. This is what we call the floating rivers. This humidity translates into water streams, and that's where 75% of the water of this country comes from. What we are working on is how we can stop deforestation in the country and how we can work with communities to start recovering the nature that we have lost so that we can protect the cycle of water. Colombia has been one of the leading countries globally in environment, but we see a role to actually bring the difficult discussions to the table and to find solutions together, but to the root causes of problems. We know the root of the problem of climate change is an economy based on fossil fuels. It is a way of changing the way we live in. Everybody fighting for their own interests will not bring us to common goals. If we don't make an economic transition in the next 15 years, Colombia will be ruined. Why do we keep working on this, even if it's very difficult to reverse these trends? And what gives me a lot of hope is actually the people on the field. I always see a woman at the front line, protecting the environment. And I also see the vulnerability and the struggles they have to go through to be able to play that role. My hope is in the mobilization of people, and especially the peoples that are the front lines of the climate change situation. What I feel is that my role has been more to open a space for the voices of them to be heard in a political process which is collective. And that's where I put all my bets.
On behalf of Vital Voices, it is my sincere honor to present the Global Leadership Award to Susanna Mohammed.
Thank you so much for this recognition. Many times, this type of change really comes from vulnerability. And as a woman that has decided to step forward, even feeling vulnerable around politics and the patriarch system that surrounds us, I have learned a lot of the strength that we need to collect together. We are facing unprecedented times. The climate crisis and the changes that need to happen in the very short term that nature is giving us because of our own impact will rise to many tensions. Those tensions are putting us into two potential roads. The road of authoritarianism, fascism, genocide, as the people of Palestine are facing right now. When one people's roots are crushed, as it is happening, and I am a Palestinian descendant, all humanity is losing. Because we need exactly the diversity of knowledge, ecosystems, the diversity of life to understand how are we going to transit. Nature is trying to adapt and transit this climate change we already produced. Communities are fighting to adapt as well. We need the knowledge, and we need the capacity, and we need the history, and we need the ingenuity of all peoples on earth, and the diversity to be able to transcend, to mitigate, to move forward. We need the best that humanity has. And that is what I have learned in this path, sparkled by the social leaders at the front lines, to which I really, really dedicate this, because I'm only a vehicle for the people that are doing really the work on the field, the environmentalists that put their lives and their lives on the line for making this change, because at the end, this is about making peace, and it's about making peace with nature. And around that, we can build a future. Thank you so much for this recognition.
Please welcome Chairman of NBC Universal Studio Group and Chief Content Officer and Vital Voices Board Member, Dame Donna Langley.
When she was 22 years old, Aya Chebbi emerged as a leading voice in Tunisia's Jasmine Revolution, which sparked the Arab Spring and toppled a dictator who'd been in power ever since Aya was born. For this proud Pan-African feminist, changing the old guard comes naturally. When Aya looks at young Africans at a continent with the youngest population in the world, she sees the most connected, innovative, and determined generation yet. She sees leaders who are ready to shape the future, and she wants to help them do it. Aya created the Nala Feminist Collective to foster young women's leadership in Africa, and at 30, she became the African Union's first ever special envoy on youth, tasked with bringing voices and interests of young people into the highest decision-making bodies. But as so many women know, being the first isn't exactly easy, especially if your mission is to make more room for women to follow. As much as Aya has had to push for change, she knows the struggle will be worth it because she believes that a young Africa can change the world. Let's learn a bit more about this remarkable young leader.
I think Africa has one history and one destiny. And I think I wanted for African youth to realize that our struggles are one, and so our solutions are one. My name is Aya Chebbi. I am an African with a Tunisian passport. I think I've always been a rebel in my family. I used to organize hunger strikes when my dad didn't meet my demands. My dad has been always a feminist father, actually, because he installed in me the conviction that I can do what anybody can do in life. For me, that's what feminism is. Being free to be who you are, to commit to the liberation of African women and girls starts from being a woman. How can I not be a feminist when every day is a reminder of my gender? Africa is not a country, but also is not 55 countries. We have thousands of cultures, languages, indigenous religions, and so my struggle is not individual, but it's collective. The decision-making tables are very old and very male, so we are just reclaiming our power right now and saying that this system as it is doesn't work for us, and the only way to changing is to come together. I was called into the assignment of being the first ever African Union envoy in youth. It didn't really mean to have access. I still had to fight for my voice. I still had to fight for my space. I was excluded from bilateral meetings. I was put down from important negotiations. And I started to introduce a concept I call intergenerational co-leadership. Nalafem, Nala Feminist Collective, is an army of women who are taking charge, who are really leading from a place of transformation. We deserve to be in these rooms and these spaces. We operate right now in 40 countries across Africa. From activism to diplomacy, we have to not only try to change the system from outside, but actually go to the belly of the beast and try to shake things up in the corridors of power. And it's gone beyond my expectations when I started. Nalafem has already been able, within just 3 years, to train over 50,000 young women, to provide fellowship opportunities. As much as the system will tell you you cannot, you're not capable, you can. So I hope to see a world that respects African women to lead our continent to where she deserves to be.
On behalf of Vital Voices, it is my great pleasure and honor to present the Global Leadership Award to Aya Chebbi.
What's up, Vital Voices? I am a proud African woman. I am the daughter of female warriors, scientists, chiefs, governors. And like many girls at an early age, I was abused. Like many revolutionaries, I was arrested, blacklisted. I've seen live bullets on the front line. Like many young diplomats in multilateral systems, I've been mansplained and excluded. But guess what? I rise. Against all odds, I carry my bruises with pride. I am unapologetic for being patriarchy's nightmare. Now I have one task, and one task only: the liberation of African women and girls. Dream with me. Imagine a generation of women who lead from a place of love and courage, who occupy the parliamentary seats we deserve, who change the political discourse from apartheid occupation to freedom. Imagine young women politicians driving negotiations in the Sahel region, resolving conflicts in the Horn of Africa. Imagine young women unseating male privilege to be the legislators of our own bodies. Imagine us in masses, increasing in number and influence as female Pan-African leaders. That's when we will see power shift, and that's when I can retire. But until then, we are already driving Africa's transition into a new model of leadership that is democratic, that is feminist, and that is decolonial. For this dream to manifest, we need two things. One, the world should stop bullying Africa. We don't need white colonial saviorism or entitled expert. Actually, we are the experts. But if the world really wants to help, then move money and power into the hands of young, progressive feminist leaders. And two, we need Mandela's generation to listen and co-lead with us, because I do believe the future of leadership in Africa must be intergenerational. To young women, I know they tell us often, wait for your turn, climb the ladder of politics, suffer. But guess what? We are not waiting for permission. This is our time. Now is the time to claim our right to lead. So let's do this. Thank you.
Please welcome the Chief Climate Officer of Time, Shaila Raghav.
Whether your home looks onto skyscrapers or the coastline, we share the same planet. And we have a common problem. It's not theoretical or imagined, nor is it distant in time and space somewhere far away. It's unfolding right here before our very eyes. Having started my career designing climate solutions for island nations in the Caribbean, and as a former climate negotiator for the Alliance of Small Island States for the Paris Agreement, I've seen firsthand how climate change is affecting the most vulnerable of all nations. And with the narrow window that we have to avoid the climate tipping points, the decisions that we make on climate action right here and now over the next few years will be, quite frankly, the most important of our lives. Our next honoree knows this all too well. Twice elected president of the Marshall Islands, Hilda Heine has consistently been at the forefront of this fight, advocating for all people and all nations to take audacious, urgent, and collective climate action. Under her leadership, the Marshall Islands became the first country to submit binding pledges to the UN to reduce its emissions, by raising her own nation's ambition and by claiming ownership for a problem that we all share, Even though Marshallese emissions represent really just a tiny fraction of the global total, she sent a clear signal to other leaders. If we can, so can you. Knowing that women and girls, especially in the global south, bear the brunt of climate disasters, President Heine has long advanced policies that are gender inclusive and gender responsive. She carries forward a proud legacy of Marshallese women's leadership. Where her ancestors fought for freedom, she fights for our future. Speaking for so many who call island nations home, President Heine has said, although vulnerable countries like mine will be hit first and hit hardest by the impacts of rising global temperatures, we do not see ourselves as victims. We believe in leading from the front. And to get a sense of life in the Marshall Islands and what's at stake, let's take a look at this moving film, which features an original poem by President Heine's daughter, poet and educator, Kathy Jetnil Kitchener.
I prepared the package for my friends in the States. The dangling earrings woven into half moons, black pearls glinting like an eye in a storm of tight spirals. The baskets, sturdy, also woven. Brown cowrie shell shiny, intricate mandalas shaped by calloused fingers. Inside the basket, I write a message. Wear these earrings to parties, to classes and meetings, to the corner store, the grocery store, and while riding the bus. Store jewelry, incense, copper coins, and curling letters like this one in this basket. And when others ask you where you got this, you tell them they're from the Marshall Islands. Show them where it is on a map. Tell them we are a proud people toasted dark brown as the carved ribs of a tree stump. Tell them we are descendants of the finest navigators in the world. Tell them our islands were dropped from a basket carried by a giant. Tell them we are the hollow hulls of canoes as fast as the wind slicing through the Pacific Sea. We are wood shavings and drying pandanus leaves and siquipiros at kemems. Tell them we are the sweet harmonies of mothers, aunties, sisters, songs late into night. Tell them we are whispered prayers, the breath of God, a crown of fuchsia flowers encircling Auntie Mary's white seafoam hair. Tell them we are styrofoam cups of Kool-Aid red, waiting patiently for the Illuminati. We are papaya golden sunsets bleeding into a glittering open sea. We are skies uncluttered, majestic and sweeping in their landscape. We are the ocean, terrifying and regal in its power. Tell them we are dusty rubber slippers swiped from concrete doorsteps. We are the ripped seams and the broken door handles of taxis. We are sweaty hands shaking another sweaty hand in heat. Tell them we are days and nights hotter than anything you can imagine. Tell them we are little girls with braids, cartwheeling beneath the rain. We are shards of broken beer bottles burrowed beneath fine, white sand. We are children, flinging like rubber bands across a road clogged with chugging cars. Tell them we only have one road. And after all this, tell them about the water, how we have seen it rising, flooding across our cemeteries, gushing over our seawalls, and crashing against our homes. Tell them what it's like to see the entire ocean level with the land. Tell them we are afraid. Tell them we don't know of the politics or the science, but we see what is in our own backyard. Tell them some of us are old fishermen who believe that God made us a promise. Tell them some of us are a little bit more skeptical of God. But most importantly, tell them we don't want to leave. We've never wanted to leave. And that we are nothing without our islands.
That was so powerful. Now, on behalf of Vital Voices, it is my absolute honor to present the Lifetime of Leadership Award to the President of the Republic of the Marshall Islands, Hilda Heine.
thank you so very much for this award. I am humbled and honored to receive this award. I must admit, this isn't something I had expected, which is why it is such an honor to be among all these women here who are each as brave, brilliant, and inspirational as the next. When I think of leadership, I remember my father and the humble life he and my mother modeled for me. A leader for me is someone who serves the people, who lead with kindness and rigor, who takes care of his or her family and community. My father was the pastor of our church as well as a school teacher. He was, in fact, my first teacher. He was quite engaged and kept our household on a schedule of chores. My mother was a stay-at-home mom who supported my father by raising me and my 9 siblings, ensuring that our household ran smoothly. So I look back now and realize so much of my early life was peaceful and beautiful. Looking back, I now understand that with my parents were teaching me was resilience, responsibility, and resourcefulness. In the Pacific, my country is often referred to as highly vulnerable. As a low-lying atoll nation, just 2 meters above sea level, we are as exposed as a country can be to climate risks. Our islands are completely flat with no mountains or higher ground to escape to. The beaches I once played on are eroding, and the oceans I once dove into are threatening our very existence. But we continue to lead by example. In 2018, we were the first country to submit our ambitious Nationally Determined Contribution, or NDC, a plan for how we would limit the use of fossil fuels, the #1 driver of climate change, and how we would transition to renewable energy, all with a gender and human rights sensitive approach. But the targets we set at home won't move the needle on global emissions. To do that, we need the larger countries, the largest emitters, to live up to the promises they've made to transition away from fossil fuels. In the meantime, we're doing what we can to protect ourselves. This is where our National Adaptation Plan comes in, a policy document that we're calling our Survival Plan. We're looking into extreme adaptation solutions to ensure we can protect the territory of our islands. We need developed countries to step up and to address climate finance in the same way we do other threats to security. We need people campaigning with their governments and policymakers. This is a matter of justice. These are not small goals, but they are what this moment in history demands of us. Marshallese people are resilient, and Marshallese women are more resilient still. Our society is traditionally matrilineal, and the role we play as women is reflected in the phrase, Ankara Islandkain. These islands belong to the women. The Marshallese have a strong tradition of respecting women's leadership and strength. And as the first female president of my country, I stand alongside so many Marshallese and Pacific female leaders as we navigate the storms and shoals of the climate crisis. I want nothing else for the next generation of our nation, my grandchildren included, but that they continue to play and grow, safe and sound on the shores of their beautiful island homes. Thank you once again for this great honor. Thank you, Vital Voices, for the great work that you do. Thank you.
Please welcome the founder of the Me Too movement, activist, advocate, and author, Tarana Burke.
On behalf of Vital Voices, oh no, sorry. Hi, y'all. There's not a movement in history that has not been hard. Let me tell you about it. And in the hard moments, it takes vision and determination and heart to choose again and again to find joy in the struggle. And that's exactly what our next honoree has done. Nika Kovač knows how to move people. As an organizer in Slovenia, she founded the 8th of March Research Institute, which uses storytelling to inspire solidarity and push for social change. She's built campaigns that have changed both laws and politics, advancing gender equality, expanding LGBTQ+ protections, and safeguarding free access to public resources. 2 years ago, her Get Out the Vote campaign unseated a far-right prime minister. And when, yeah. We can take some notes from that. And when Nika was just starting out, she did something that forever connects us as co-conspirators in the movement for survivor justice. She brought Me Too to Slovenia. It hasn't been easy. Yes, give her a round of applause for that. It has not been easy for her leadership. She has earned some vocal opponents, and there's been painful defeats along the way. But Nika keeps going because she sees what I saw. She knows that right now things may look difficult, and they are, but take it from the organizer. They're difficult, but we are winning. Young leaders like Nika are powering a wave of collective action, and it's getting us closer to safety and dignity for all people. Let's learn a bit more about this incredible young woman.
So I was growing up in Ljubljana, a really, really small city, but the biggest city in Slovenia. And I always had a feeling that I don't know how to do anything. I'm terrible at sports, I'm terrible at singing. My plan was to have a bookstore and to be mostly quiet there, read books and to talk with the people who love reading. So I think that little Nika would be quite surprised what came out of her. I established Institute 8 of March because I realized that I don't want to do activism how others are doing it. I established a community of mostly young women who decided to fight for gender equality and social equality, and to do it in our own way. Me and my team always say that where there is injustice, we need to show up. Because if there is more of us, we will be heard more. So we got a call. There is a Me Too movement. All the world is speaking about sexual harassment, but in Slovenia we are quiet. So we decided to lead our own Me Too campaign, and we said raising awareness is not enough. We need to change the law. So we started the process of writing a law about redefinition of rape, and with a huge help of volunteers, groups of all ages, we brought the law to the National Assembly and made it accepted. When we changed the law, so many victims said to us, now we know that our daughters won't go through this, they will be protected. There are, of course, attacks, because people love to attack women who are speaking the truth to the power. There are death threats. I was physically attacked on the street, and I said to my team, I cannot do it anymore. And then all those girls sat around me and they said, if we step back, like they will do it again and again and they will make us quiet. And when I looked at them, I was thinking like, yes, we are in this together. I'm not afraid. Right now, I'm coordinating a campaign for a free and accessible abortion in Europe. We need to collect 1 million signatures throughout all Europe because we don't want that it happened to us what happened in the US when suddenly people lost their rights through the night. We would like to do something in advance and protect it. I'm not the superhero, like this community is the superhero. We are working with really young people who are like 18, 17, 15, and they are saying to us that they don't know what the future is for them. And for me, this wish to protect the planet and to give people a chance to dream is something which is keeping us going. And I think that when that kind of fire starts to burn, like the change is possible.
Yes, Nika girl, learn from us. On behalf of Vital Voices, it is now my great privilege to present the Global Leadership Award to Nika Kovač.
Hello. I have a confession. For me, in this time of great sadness, it's really hard to celebrate the award, which I just got. In the times when far right is on the rise in Europe, in the times when Georgian government accepted a terrible law which is trying to shut down critical voices, in the times when 20 million of women in Europe, what else around the world, don't have access to free and accessible abortion, in the times of one of the most terrible massacres in modern history, where more than 35,000 Palestinians were brutally killed, it's really hard to stand here. But I have a group of best friends, which is my Slovenian team. And this team taught me something really important. Then, in the times of the greatest sadness, in the times of the greatest despair, a small opportunity of hope opens up. And a group of best friends can change the world. If they stick to the humanity, if they listen to each other and to other voices, if they believe that the change is possible, and that if they stick with their values, they create an opportunity for change. And in these times of great sadness, I'm holding up to these voices of hope, to the brave students in American universities who are speaking up against genocide. To people who are fighting against authoritarian systems with hope and positive content and kindness. I'm holding up to the protesters on Georgian streets who are doing everything to prevent their country from being kidnapped by a small group of people in power. I'm holding up to the women of the movement My Voice, My Choice, which are trying to do everything to protect abortion on European level. And if you want to remember one thing about my small but really beautiful and awesome country, Slovenia, is that if a group of different voices unite, they can do impossible. They create an avalanche which is bringing change and which can bring hope and a better condition for our lives. This award does not belong to me. This award belongs to a group of my best friends, to my Slovenian team, also to my international team, and to every single voice that is loud, even when it is hard, even when it is awkward, and is doing the right thing. Together we can change something, and I can promise you one thing, we won't stop. Thank you.
Please welcome Vital Voices founder and former U.S. Secretary of State, Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Anything going on today? Well, I have to tell you, there's nowhere I'd rather be than right here. I'm so happy to join you and to really see and feel the support coming from all of you for Vital Voices. And I also know somewhere in the audience is the host of the very first Vital Voices conference, Swanee Hunt. And I always want to thank Swanee for her vision and her leadership, without which I don't think we would all be here together tonight. You know, the Vital Voices Global Leadership Awards are always inspiring, and we especially need that inspiration today to know that women across the world are leading progress on so many fronts, whether it's on mobilizing against the erosion of democracy or fighting to make climate change real in the minds of people and deal with mitigation and adaptation. But it goes on all the time. It doesn't always make headlines, but it's critical, important work. And later tonight, Vital Voices will recognize an international collaboration that is led by members of the Vital Voices Global Network to implement the Safe City app, which helps prevent gender-based violence through data-empowered mapping. And I think that is such a great use of technology, because we all know technology has its dark side. So trying to use it to better understand and protect women against gender-based violence is an extraordinarily important Vital Voices initiative. But first, it's my honor to present the Global Trailblazer Award to a friend of mine, someone who I am so admiring of and is also now a colleague with me at Columbia University School of International and Public Affairs. You know, in an age where truth is a bulwark between democracy and authoritarianism, Maria Ressa is holding the line. As an investigative journalist and founder of the news site Rappler in the Philippines, she exposes corruption and counters disinformation at great personal risk. Over her 37-year career as a journalist, she has been repeatedly targeted by intimidation campaigns, viciously attacked online, the subject of all kinds of harassment and intimidation. But she remains a strong, persistent, even joyful voice about what's facing us in the world today. She understands the very serious threats that disinformation poses to us, and for her courage and her efforts to fight for free expression, she received a Nobel Peace Prize in 2021. You know, Maria is someone who sees the dark side. She understands the risks and the threats and the dangers, but she keeps going. And that in and of itself is inspiring. She really is on the front lines of change, yet refuses to back down in the face of pushback. She continues to defend the truth, to protect journalism and journalists, and stand up for democratic values. It really is something that I hope more journalists know, because being a journalist in today's world is a very, very dangerous undertaking. And we have to show solidarity and support for journalists across the world. To give you a sense of Maria in action, we have a preview from the award-winning documentary about her work and life, 1,000 Cuts.
Mr. President, is it important that people be afraid of you? Fear.
Yes.
Hello and welcome. I'm Maria Ressa.
Maria Ressa carries the torch of press freedom in a country held in thrall by a populist president.
It started with the drug war.
Do not do drugs, because I will kill you.
President Duterte began his administration with the drug list.
This is the drug industry of the Philippines.
He showed everyone a list. People on that list started dying.
I'm telling the Filipino people it's gonna be bloody.
We demanded the government be held accountable.
Duterte was annoyed by our reporting.
You are a fake news outlet. They will be allowed to criticize us, but you go to jail for your crime.
We started getting an attack on social media. The government created disinformation networks, so people have no idea what the truth is. I was getting an average of 90 hate messages per hour.
We don't even know whether we can trust the police to protect us.
Just because you're a journalist, you're exempted from assassination.
We didn't even realize how dangerous it is for you.
Why are you crying?
Because I'm scared for you.
Maria Ressa has been arrested.
The charges against Ressa were aimed at intimidating those who challenged Duterte's rule.
So why should you care about what happens in the Philippines? They test the tactics of how to manipulate America in our country. If it works, they port it over to the rest of the world.
Maria Ressa was one of 4 journalists named as Time Magazine's Person of the Year.
Maria won't be afraid. I'm afraid for her.
What we're seeing is death by 1,000 cuts. Little cuts of Philippine democracy. We will not duck, we will not hide, we will hold the line.
So on behalf of Vital Voices, it is my great honor to present the 2024 Global Trailblazer Award to Maria Ressa.
You know, in the darkest hour, one of the first voices that supported us was Hillary Clinton. So thank you, Hillary, for your courage and the incredible work that you keep doing. And thank you, Vital Voices, Diane, and Elise for recognizing the work we do at Rappler. In order to be here today, I had to ask my Supreme Court for approval to travel because, let's see, it started with so many investigations, and then There were 11 criminal charges, and slowly, over 8 years, those went down to, I have 2 criminal charges left. So, you know, in the Philippines, Asia's largest Roman Catholic nation, I always say that, where are we today? And this is hope for you. We were in hell, and now we're in purgatory. Here's the problem we all face. We are living in toxic sludge. The tech platforms that connect us hacked our biology. Lies laced with fear, anger, and hate spread faster and further than those really boring facts. That has turned our world upside down. Imagine telling your child to lie. I'm going to reward you. Keep lying, right? Is it, well, we know what happened today, as Hillary said. I've said this over and over in the last 8 years. Without facts, you can't have truth. Without truth, you can't have trust. Without these 3, we have no shared reality, no democracy, let alone fight the existential problems we have like climate change. Nika laid out all of the problems, the most recent ones, the world on fire that we live in. But, you know, here's how it comes down to me, because I live on social media. According to social media, exploited and used by power and money, for power and money, social media says, I am a communist and a CIA agent. I am anti-Semitic, and I'm anti-Palestinian. None of that is true, because I don't live in a world of extremes, right? There are grays, it's a tough world, and we have to navigate that. Big tech has ghettoized our world, dividing us in ways that make all our work as journalists, as civil society, nearly impossible. And women both bear the brunt and are leading the charge to reclaim our rights. So what do we do? Because we must, right? In 2022, we released a 10-point action plan that was largely aimed at the European Union, which won what I call the race of the turtles, because they came out with the DSA, the Digital Services Act, the DMA, the Digital Markets Act, and the AI Act. But let me boil this down to just 3 points. Stop surveillance for profit. Human rights are digital rights. And yes, please. Sorry. This new business model, surveillance for profit, we didn't hear about it till 2019, but that business model takes all of our data, you didn't consent to it, and creates what they call models, but we can call clones of each of us. AI, the first generation, takes all of our clones, makes a master database, and that's used to micro-target us. That's different from advertising, because it finds our weakest moment to a message and sells it to a company or country. That is insidious manipulation. That surveillance for profit underlines the hype behind AI. 2, stop coded bias. If you're a woman, LGBTQ+, Black, brown, or from the global South, if you are marginalized in the real world, you are further marginalized online. And we in the global South, again, colonized, this time by Silicon Valley code with its built-in biases. Well, We're colonized twice because our people in the global south are the ones who clean up that data so that you can use it in the global north. 3, journalism as an antidote to tyranny. Thank you, Hillary, for always pointing that out. Your journalists face this battle. Our audiences, the trust that we've tried to build, that's been eroded by big tech, as the business model has been eroded. But we keep going. So let me just end with how does this look in action, because you've heard the problems, right? And I think, strangely enough, this creative destruction moment, we can do a lot now. We need to move away from tech. Leave this behind, especially if you're below 18 years old. Sorry. It is, if you don't, well, even if you do, it is only going to get worse with generative AI, and you are going to vote, right? The enshittification of the internet, this is now in full swing with the chatbot arms race. And this has got to change, because without integrity of facts, we cannot have integrity of elections. Five or 6 years ago, I said 2024 is the tipping point year for democracy. And it is. South Africa went to vote yesterday. The EU is going in June. You are going in November, right? So everything is in your hands. This window to protect, preserve democracy, it's still open. But what you do will determine what happens next. So let's stop being users of this tech and become citizens. Let's redefine what civic engagement means in this age of exponential lies. In the long term, it's education. We need to understand that this technology is addictive, is causing harm to our kids. The US Surgeon General just said last May, right, there are greater incidents of sleeplessness, higher suicide rates for young girls, eating disorders, and an epidemic of loneliness. In the medium term, it's legislation. At the Harvard commencement speech, when I said this next sentence, one woman clapped, and I looked at her. You're going to guess. We must reform or revoke Section 230 of the 1996 Communications Decency Act. It was Elizabeth Warren who clapped. We must stop the impunity, right? And in the short term, finally, it's you. It's us. The people in this room, the people watching. What you do will determine whether democracy lives or dies. This time matters. We need to prove that we can move from the rubble that we're standing on and build better. So the time is now. Please join us.
Please welcome the founder and co-chairwoman of DVF and Vital Voices board member, Diane von Furstenberg.
I mean, how incredible evening, it is. These women, these Vital Voices women are the most inspiring, invigorating, hopeful, incredible women. I am so, first of all, I'm so proud to be a woman. And I'm so proud to be part of the Vital Voices. At this point, I'm, I guess, the godmother of Vital Voices. Hillary is the mother, I'm the godmother. And I'm never ceased to be so impressed by the quality of these women. I mean, it's not just a network, it is a population of badass women who get shit done. So we've seen incredible things happen when network leaders collaborate. And tonight we're celebrating one of those achievements with the first ever Collective Action Award. Earlier this year, Vital Voices asked its network of more than 20,000 women to nominate network-led collaborations. Entries poured in and the network voted, choosing tonight's phenomenal recipient. To tell us more, I want to introduce a former Global Leadership Award honoree from 2017. She's the founder of Safe City, an innovative platform that's making community safer from gender-based violence. Please welcome the brilliant Elsa Marie da Silva.
As an honoree on this stage in 2017, I announced an ambitious goal. I wanted Safe City, my app for combating gender-based violence, to reach 1 million people by 2030. And tonight, 6 years early, we've already surpassed that goal. The power of this network made this success possible. Vital Voices leaders reached out to me, and I reached out to them too. And we started collaborating. And together, we expanded Safe City globally. Safe City is a platform that crowdsources personal stories of sexual harassment and abuse in public spaces. And this data gets aggregated as hotspots on a map, making local trends visible and opening the door to targeted interventions that make cities safer. A solution designed in India has now spread from Kenya to the Philippines and to Brazil. And my fellow collaborators have adapted the Safe City methodology so it works in their context. Every intervention is unique, but the result is the same. We are unlocking the power of data to create safety for all. Together, we are shifting the burden of gender-based violence from the individual to the community. Because only with collective action can we build a world where everyone is safe. Now, I want to shine the spotlight on 3 of our partners who will show you what Safe City looks like in 3 very distinct places. Let's take a look. My name is Elsa Marie da Silva, and I founded the Safe City app. Safe City is an app that allows for women to report incidents of gender-based violence. That data is collected, organized, and distributed, helping women to make safer choices in their cities. Through the Vital Voices network, the Safe City app has expanded to 12 countries.
Hi, I'm Maya Tamayo. We are based in Quezon City, Philippines. We have appreciated the value of a technology like the Safe City app, wherein we are given crucial data. One of our signature programs is the Fellowship for Elected Women Mayors, Vice Mayors, Councilors around the Philippines. When we discussed the application, they realized that gender-based violence is a crime against the community and not only among the individual persons. We want policy reforms that would actually help women achieve gender justice. For us, this is really the way forward.
I'm Samara Castro. I'm from Brazil. We have the same situation in Brazil like other countries. We have a lot of violence and we don't have a lot of information. So I try to connect different organizations with the Safety City app and show how it's important we have this kind of collective action.
My name is Diana Nyango. I'm from Kibera in Nairobi, Kenya. Creating a safe space for young girls to have someone to talk to is very, very important. And when Elsa shared about the app, I loved it so much because initially I'd started a platform we call the Talking Boxes. Talking Boxes is about installing boxes in schools and encouraging kids to write whatever they want to share and they put into the boxes. And then we organize forums for these girls to talk about themselves. Report sexual harassment. In Kibera, not everyone have access to mobile phones. So with the Safe City app, we have to get a way of collecting reports. So we use the talking boxes. This app has helped us to provide data for national review reporting. People within the communities, they are connecting reality to research. And that is the only way that we are going to have sustainable development.
Collective action is the only way that we can push the needle and make a difference.
This is a Collective Impact Award, and I would like to present it to Jane to collect it on behalf of our collective. So please welcome my awesome Vital Voices sister from Kenya, Miss Jane Anyango.
Throughout my life, I have found that collaborating with others across countries and generations has always expanded my ideas of what is possible, not just for my community, but for myself as well. I started my work very locally in Kibera slums, and now through Vital Voices, I work globally. I have found inspiration from my fellow collaborators. Several of them are here tonight, and I would love to acknowledge them. From Trinidad and Tobago, Nicole Joseph Chin. From the Philippines, Maya Tamayo. From Guatemala, Marta Lydia. From Nicaragua, Xiomara Diaz. And from Brazil, Samara Castro. Our environments might look different, but our dream is the same. We want safe and sustainable communities for women and girls. Standing here tonight, I want to celebrate the women who came before me, on whose shoulders I stand. This global recognition of a slum woman is a proof that they have done well. For over 20 years, I have served the women and girls of Kibera and other slum settlements in Kenya. Now I am passing the baton to the younger generation in my organization, Polycom Girls. I know they will make me proud and embrace the spirit of collaborative action. In my next chapter, I want to motivate young feminists to engage with our retired trailblazers who are very rich with wisdom that comes with experience. We must get everyone in the room. No one can retire in this journey. As I have realized that collaborating with Safe City and other vital voices leaders, we need to learn from each other. Let's go forward together. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everything.
Welcome back, Vital Voices President and CEO, Elise Nelson.
There's a saying that if you want to learn about culture, listen to the stories. But if you want to change culture, change the stories. The 6 honorees that you heard from tonight are all doing that, exactly that. They're rewriting the stories. They're changing culture, doing their part to change culture. And that's what this work is about. That's what Vital Voices is about and what tonight is about. So women are the story. And we just have to keep saying it and telling it. Women are the story. And we need you to go out and share these stories that you've heard tonight. Share them as far and as often as you possibly can. Now, welcome back to the stage tonight's honorees, Nika Kovač, Chebbi, Susanna Mohammed, President Hilda Heine, Maria Ressa, and our collective action honoree, Safe City. The shot in the arm that they need and the fuel that they need to go back and continue this incredible work. Join us up on the terrace level for a reception. You can meet them in the flesh and be back next year. Thank you. It's time to get the chains out. Is your tongue tied up? 'Cause this is my ground and I'm dangerous and you can get off. But it's all about me tonight. You say
What's wrong with being, what's wrong with being, what's wrong with being confident? What's wrong with being, what's wrong with being, what's wrong with being confident?
You can have all the money in your hands, all the possessions anyone can ever have, but it's all worthless treasure. True worth is only measured not by what you got, but what you got in your heart. You can have